I've just discovered this word, techno stress. And as I was trying to understand how AI is affecting our behavior, this word kept coming up. And apparently, AI induced techno stress is a measurable form of stress now. And this is what we're going to discuss today. And we'll talk a little bit about what is techno stress and what that means. But the more I read about it, the more I recognize that we need to talk about it and be aware of it. And I'm so happy to be here today with you, Sabine, to discuss this as we discuss the infinite, amazing possibilities of AI and working with AI. We also need to be very conscious of the challenges and the cons of working with AI. So, Sabine, how are you this morning?
I'm doing very well, Abha. Thank you so much. And this is a great topic. I mean, ultimately, it's a bit ironic, no? We as human beings created AI to make everything easier for us, to make it more efficient, for us to work, and ultimately to actually gain time and find time to do other activities, probably just to relax a bit more. And now we're here today to discuss techno stress. So I'm really looking forward to what we're going to find out today.
So let me start by defining a little bit what is techno stress, because I had to look this up. And when we were discussing it, you weren't sure what it meant either. And I guess it is new terminology that's coming into our lives. So it's always good to know how the experts or the people who work in psychology and a lot in mental health are defining it. And tech stress, which is also known as techno stress, this is, I'm reading, by the way, is the negative psychological and physical reaction that people experience when they feel overwhelmed or unable to cope healthily with new technologies. It arises from factors like rapid technological change, constant connectivity, information overload, unfamiliar software, and pressure to respond quickly to digital communications. So obviously, this goes across our life, whether it's personal life or work, whether you're responding to a friend or to your colleague or to your boss. In fact, the World Health Organization has said that they are expecting over $1 trillion in global productivity loss because one of the contributing factors to that is considered to be technological tech stress. And digital tool fatigue is real, which adds to it. And a Pew Research study says that because the trust in AI regulation is so low, because the truth is there is no standardized AI regulation and it's all in the air, people feel that they are getting into a world in which there's uncontrollable change happening and they have no say or no ability to control what's happening. And this is leading to more stress. So the question really is, what can we do? And again, I don't think there's one answer. There's no right or wrong answer. But being aware is the first thing, because I don't think we recognize when things start snowballing unless you are consciously aware that there's a possibility things can snowball.
Hmm. It's interesting that you're using the word snowballing as well, because yesterday I was on my way to Abu Dhabi again. And whenever I'm in the car, I love to listen to Dubai Eye because they have nice reports there and I like their conversations. And so yesterday they were talking about AI traffic cameras and how AI will be spotting when you are driving, not just whether you are too fast or not. It will also spot the distance that you have to the car in front of you. It will be able to see whether you are actually wearing a seatbelt, and it will be able to see, even through tinted windows, whether you are using a phone or not. And then the question in this news report was to one of the higher ups in Dubai police. So, can we as humans trust 100% that AI is always correct and that what it spots is actually what is real? And the reword was that yes, it's been tested many, many times and AI was never faulty. But whenever there is someone who receives a fine, they can come to police and actually talk it through with a human, which is great that there is still some human interaction. But I'm bringing this up because usually, Abba, when you and me we talk about AI from a parental perspective, we're talking about it from a business perspective. Now AI is coming into traffic control as well. So AI is touching upon more and more areas of our lives. And when you're talking about techno stress, it's very relatable for me to have this feeling of overwhelm. It's almost like Big Brother is watching you with everything that you're doing right now. So the big question really is, what is the right mindset that we need to cultivate in order to feel that it's still us who has the control over AI and not the other way around?
Yeah, it's very tricky. And I think this is where the role of a lot of AI regulation globally needs to come in, although I feel like we're far away from that. However, I do also believe that everything that AI is offering us now, in general, is just making things so much better for us. Like, this is amazing. I also do a lot of writing on the side where I interview people who are working in AI, doing world-changing things, right? Because it is possible for AI to enter every element of our life. And if the data that we're using from AI is being used correctly, it's really amazing what is possible. But that also comes with another side, like you said. Is it always watching us? What are our privacy rights? And then what does this mean for our day-to-day being? And I think because there's no clear answer and there's no clear way, and we're all kind of living this big global experiment, as you said, if we don't have the right mindset, it can be very stressful. So, and I also think, again, who do you want to be and how do you as an individual want to deal with this? How can you deal with it so that you can reduce your stress? Because this doesn't have to cause you stress. Again, everything is a choice, I feel. Like, for example, a very simple example. One way I get past my own stress that sometimes comes with all the technological developments happening around me because I am living them every day, whether in my business or in my writing or anything, is I actually stop and recognize what I need to really pay attention to that matters to my life right now. And I kind of just turn a blind eye to everything else. So, for example, when I teach I believe in teaching my students or whoever I work with just in time learning. Like, this is what you need to know right now to help your business move to the next level. Forget about everything else. And that's just one way of doing it. I'm not saying it's the right way, but we all have to come up with our own coping mechanisms. And maybe this is something you can talk a little about, Sabine, because you work a lot in this space. What are the different levels of coping mechanisms that we can adapt? And how do we know what we can cope with? I mean, all of this, it's such a big blur. But talking about it is the first thing we can do.
That is true. Yeah. Creating awareness, of course, is always the very first thing that helps us to also get a feeling of control. And I believe that this is the foundation when it comes to coping with techno stress, or let's say trying to prevent techno stress, because it's really all about understanding where am I right now? How much do I actually know? Or how little do I know for that matter? Because given all of these very rapid new developments, I believe that there is nobody out there right now who knows everything that is currently happening. So the question is really, and it comes back to what you just said, where am I right now? What do I need right now? Where is a feeling of potential unease or discomfort coming from when it comes to my relationship to AI? And what can I do about that? And also just really understanding that nobody expects of us to become AI experts, especially not overnight. The only thing that's really relevant and necessary for us to develop is this understanding that it's our choice, as you said, what we want to use AI for, how we can create space in our life that is tech-free as much as possible. And it's really also about us to understand when I do get stressed, What is the reason for that? And what can I do about this right now? Is it stress because I feel that my knowledge is not enough? Is it stress because I feel that somebody else or AI has control over me and it's not the other way around? Am I stressed because I feel that I could, for example, be a lot more productive, but I don't know how to become more productive right now? Or it could be any other reasons. When we look into parenting, it could be, am I stressed right now because I feel that my child is exposed to technology or AI and I don't want them to be? Am I stressed because I'm afraid that my child gets developed in the wrong way by being exposed to wrong content, for example? So, really looking inside oneself and asking oneself, where is this discomfort coming from? And what can I do about this? Is the very first step to gaining this control and arriving at a place of comfort. And just to put this out here one more time, nobody is alone in this. So when you have questions about AI, when you have questions about your overwhelm, feel free to reach out to somebody. Everyone else is in exactly the same situation right now. Everyone is sitting here trying to understand, okay, what can I do with this? What is helping me the most? What is not relevant for me? And again, and we've been talking about this so many times in our podcasts, what is my intention? What do I really want to get out of this? Do I want to feel that AI is an amazing opportunity because I can become a lot more productive? I can learn things that I've never known before? Or is AI something that I have to incorporate because it's not possible not to use AI right now, but I'm trying to find as much tech-free space in my life as possible? That's everyone's individual choice, and it's important that everyone is making the choice that's the right one for them. That nobody feels pressured to do certain things just because everyone is talking about it, for example.
Well, it's funny you say that. Like, I myself, now because I am working in the AI space and I teach women how to use I feel this responsibility of knowing as much as I can so that when I teach and when I advise, I am equipped to do that, right? And yesterday, after a long time, I actually sat down and cleaned my inbox up. And it felt really good, right? Because I subscribe to a lot of different AI newsletters and I love them all. And, but I had to clean up my inbox. Anyway, I cleaned up my inbox and finally I was at 0 emails. And it felt so good, right? But then I must have gone and had a coffee, took a break and come back, and I had 108 emails. And I was like, okay, this is a problem. This is a problem. And it suddenly made me recognize that I need to not only clean my inbox, which I did already, as in go through my emails and delete and all that, is unsubscribe. So then I spent the next 2 hours unsubscribing because I suddenly recognized that all this information that I'm consuming in my effort to stay up to speed is actually not required. And I don't need to be consuming so much information from so many people who are a little bit ahead of me in the AI space, who are doing interesting things in the AI space, great. But I don't need to consume all that information on a daily basis. And that awareness has really helped. So when I did that yesterday, I must have unsubscribed to at least 100 different sources. And this morning, I didn't have many emails and it really felt good. Of course, there was a little bit of FOMO when I was unsubscribing. Like, am I unsubscribing to the wrong things? But how am I going to keep up if I'm not following these people who are leading the way when it comes to channeling information to me? So I decided that I'm only going to follow 3 people who I really admire and trust, and they're all in different industries. So I get a bit of everything, and I'm just going to rely on them for that information. So again, it's being aware and then taking action. Like, I could have just said, you know what, I'm not going to unsubscribe because I need to do this and put unnecessary pressure on myself. But then I'm very happy that I chose to recognize that I physically cannot consume 100 emails every hour. And no wonder I'm constantly stressed about AI because I'm just consuming too much of stuff I don't need to be consuming. So again, I think what's important is not only being aware, of course, being aware is the first step, but then choosing to take some action. Because unless you take action, nothing's going to change. And now I recognize that I've unsubscribed to a lot of amazing newsletters and a lot of amazing people. Maybe 3 months from now, I'll be like, I actually miss getting the email from X. And I missed that update because actually it was really good. And maybe I go back to it and then I subscribe only to that person. But at least I have a bit more control. So that's just an example of a small thing I did, and it's really helping me already.
And it's a great example, Abba. And in the end, there are potentially two biases here that you worked against. So, one bias that might sound very familiar to pretty much every one of us is the status quo bias, which means that especially things that work well for us, we want to keep them that way. We want to keep our status quo. So, in the example that you just brought up, for you, it used to work very well to be subscribed to all of these newsletters because you found them valuable, because you got a good amount of information out of them. Now that, for example, the frequency has picked up, or there are additional newsletters, or for example, you have less time to read all of these, your status quo doesn't really work anymore because you don't get the same utilization out of these newsletters. And human beings are extremely prone to just sticking to their status quo because, again, the brain tells us this is what used to work for us. It's a safe space. We want to stay safe, so we're not changing anything. So now, when we're taking that into the bigger picture of techno stress with an increasing number of updates, the velocity is picking up, let's say, month by month when it comes to new development of AI. We are completely lost when we stick to our status quo because our status quo is completely outdated. So the next bias that comes in here oftentimes is what is called the overconfidence bias. And that would be because I also have a lot of newsletters that I'm subscribed to. My overconfidence bias is that I would subscribe to them thinking that I will actually make the time and read all of those and I will accumulate all of the knowledge that comes through these newsletters. But I'm completely overestimating mostly my time because I am struggling with my time management. And the last thing on my priority list is actually to read these newsletters. So my inbox is completely congested with, I'm not kidding, thousands of newsletters that, again, are completely outdated because they are weeks old and I haven't even opened them. So these are just two examples of biases that we are, let me call it, falling victim to. But they are important to understand when it comes to our actual way of operating, of our understanding of how the world works around us. And again, it's as we started this episode, right? It's really all about awareness, understanding ourselves and then putting ourselves into the right position when it comes to finding ways to prevent techno stress.
And I think the reason why right now is different to the progress of humanity over the last few centuries is because of the speed at which it's happening. Never in history has, never in history have we experienced something or this change that AI is bringing into our world at this rate, So whether it was the Industrial Revolution or the Internet Revolution, it was far more gradual than the AI revolution, which is just completely changing our day, one day to the other. So I think that adds to the load on us when it comes to adapting, the pressure to be able to cope with it. And I think, again, just being aware of it and just staying very open, adaptive, and just knowing that it's not humanly possible to keep up with what's going on, and you shouldn't even try. And like you said, Sabine, we're not alone in this. We're all in the same boat. There are maybe a handful of people slightly ahead, maybe those who are building these systems and are heavily investing in these systems. And I usually mean larger corporations and people working in them. But otherwise, we're all in the same boat. And even they, I would argue that even they are going through the same stress because, in fact, they are building these systems and nobody really knows how they work properly. So yeah, I think you can close it here.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. I believe in a way, aber this new velocity is becoming our new normal. So for us, simply becoming aware that we won't be able to keep up, but what we are always able to do is to select bits and pieces that are important to us right now. And simply creating that awareness that wanting to keep control over everything is not humanly possible. But really just selecting for ourselves, okay, this is what I'm interested in, this is what serves me well, and this is what doesn't serve me well. And then experimenting with more or less oneself and AI and technology to see, okay, is this a space I'm comfortable with or not? So, of course, all is leading back to the question, who do you want to be? Who do you want to be in this age of techno stress? Who do you want to be in this age as well, where you have all the options available? Just choose those that are the right fit for you. So thank you all very much for being here with us today, and we are looking forward to seeing you next week.